Hi friends! This week's midweek service sermon was from Jonathan Ngan at SIBKL, entitled Residents of Earth, Citizens of Heaven. Look out for that. And now for this week's interview.
I found it on Rhema Radio.
Hi, this is Ray Poon.
This is Adeline.
And we're speaking to you from Rhema Radio. Today we have Dr. Wong Hong Meng speaking to us about Stewardship Gospel. Dr. Wong is not new to us. In our previous session, we spoke about Stewardship Gospel, focusing very much on businessmen and full-time workers on how they should spend their time, talent, resources, making sure that the truth of God's word gets out there in the best, most responsible manner. We also spoke about the difference between prosperity gospel, poverty gospel, as well as stewardship gospel. And if you missed that podcast, do go back and listen to it as well. But today we're going to focus on young adults and millennials. Woo-hoo. So Adeline, you are super excited and you have a whole bunch of questions to ask Dr. Wong.
I have a lot of questions.
So go ahead.
Yes, I actually watched this video lately about this young person. You know, we have so much education about history, science, all sorts of math, but we never really have financial education. I think this is something that millennials actually lack, which is financial education. So basically, for young people who just came out to work, obviously we don't have a lot of savings, we don't have a lot of capital. But you mentioned something about stewardship. And stewardship, it doesn't matter how much you have, it's about how you steward. So my question now to you, Dr. Wong, is how will you actually advise young people on their financial habits, maybe in terms of saving, in terms of, investing? What are your thoughts on this area?
Okay, thanks Adeline for the question. I have been conducting some half-day seminars on managing your financial health, targeted especially to the younger working adults. As you have said, there is a lack of financial education or financial knowledge among the younger working people. Mm-hmm. And the pressures of life today is such that there are many, many avenues, many, many methods to help us to spend money.
Right.
But there are not much avenue for us to save and invest. And I think that is necessary for young people to know. Actually, financial management is quite a simple thing. Although the accountants and the financial planners try to make it more complex so that you have to use their services. Okay. In financial management, there are actually only 4 components. Mm-hmm. Income, expenditure, assets, liability. And all you have to do is to manage these 4 components together, then you will have a very good understanding as how the relationship works and how the money would be there. Okay, but the understanding is not there. But there's a 5th element nowadays. Even if you manage your income and expenditure to make sure that you are living within your means, and that you manage your assets such that they are income generating, and minimize your liability so that your interest expense is lower, there is a 5th dimension now. And that is you tend to get cheated by pyramid schemes, by all sorts of other things that are in the marketplace, because all of us want to get rich quickly. And that is affecting churches. The reason why it is affecting churches is because Christians are in a community of love and trust. If I can get one leader in a church to subscribe to a pyramid scheme, I can get many people to be part of it. So that is the danger. And so if you look at the young people today, they need to understand how money works.
Right.
We are in the world, although we are not of the world. And being in the world, we have to understand how the world system of money works to start off with. And once we understand that, then the rest can follow. Okay?
Actually, the relationship about money is something that I ask a lot, because I mean, for example, stocks, for example, some people see it as gambling, right? And even like there's a verse in the Bible that says that owe no one any debt except for the debt for loving them. So basically, if for me personally, if I'm not taking any debt, I cannot buy a house, I cannot, buy a car. So I cannot understand how, even not as a young person, just as a normal person, how can you actually apply this biblical principle?
When I do this managing your financial health seminar, that is a very important question as to how can a young person today buy a house without borrowing money? In the beginning, if you look at the Bible, houses and inheritance comes from fathers. In the old days, it is the father who will provide houses for their children. And every Christian father should try to do that. But over the centuries, this norm has been corrupted because of the way we live, our disobedience to God's guidance, that becomes an automatic thing. Everybody is in debt. Countries are in debt. Companies are in debt. Personally, we are in debt. And we are in a debt trap. So much so that young people, when you tell them not to borrow money, it is an alien concept. And even people borrow money for investment. Now, I have a way of looking at it this way. Some people borrow money because they can't meet basic needs. They don't have food. They can't buy milk for their children. They have to borrow money. But if you are in a community of faith, that should never happen. We should gather around this family or this person so that we will provide him the resources to meet his basic needs. So that should never happen. Some people borrow money to maintain a lifestyle. Their income no longer can sustain their lifestyle, but they want to keep up the face of maintaining their lifestyle. So that is pride. Then the third reason why people borrow money is they want to uplift their lifestyle, probably in keeping with their friends and Joneses, other people. And that is ego. Their income does not support their lifestyle, but they want to show more than they can actually support. Then the fourth reason why people borrow money is they want to make more money. They borrow money to invest. Okay? Because it is true, if you borrow money to invest, you have the potential to make more money. But you also have the potential to lose more money. Okay? So these are the four reasons. And when you borrow money to invest, what is it? Greed. It's greed. Okay? Now today, in present day age, because we have forgotten the norms of the Bible, that father provide houses for their children, young people have to borrow money. And today, in Malaysian context, young people can't even borrow money because your income cannot support the bank loan. So parents still have to help. Okay? Parents still have to help. Okay? Now, if you have to borrow money, there are some who teach, Christian teachers will teach that you can borrow money if you are buying an appreciating asset. For example, a house. You should not borrow money to buy a depreciating asset. Like a car. The question we need to ask ourselves is that, do you really need to buy a house? Can you rent a house? In Germany, 80% of the people don't own houses. They rent. But being Asian, we like to have our own house. And that is the culture that we have. As a parent, I also want to make sure that my children have their own houses. That is nothing wrong. If you really have to borrow to buy a house, try to borrow as little as possible. Okay? So that you don't come into a situation. You know what the Bible says about the borrower is a slave to the lender? It's very true. If you don't believe me, all you have to do is to default on one bank loan. And you will experience being a slave to the bank.
The wrath.
Yes. You will experience that. And that's all you have to do. So try to avoid that.
Ya, nama saya ialah Pastor Augustine Chang daripada St. Michael Sendakan dan saya adalah seorang evangelis sudah lebih 20 tahun dan saya ingin membaca petikan-petikan seperti berikut yang saya petik daripada Yohanes pasal yang ketiga ayat 16 di mana firman Allah berkata bahwa begitu besar kasih Allah akan dunia ini sehingga Dia memberikan anaknya yang tunggal supaya setiap orang yang percaya kepadanya tidak akan binasa melainkan beroleh hidup yang kekal. Tetapi kita juga manusia yang sudah jatuh dalam dosa dan kita perlu bertobat. Dan 1 Yohanes pasal yang pertama ayat yang ke-9 firman Allah berkata, dan jika kita mengaku dan bertobat segala dosa dan kesalahan kita, Tuhan itu adalah setia dan adil. Dia akan mengampuni segala dosa kita dan menyucikan kita daripada semua kejahatan.
So this is quite interesting because as we talk about stewardship and oftentimes we look at stewardship as a introspective thing, right? Meaning ourselves, how we are good stewards. But here's an interesting comment that you made about parents, fathers should help provide the first housing to their kids. And in some ways, if we are good stewards of God's money, we are helping others be better stewards as well. So if as a father, I'm a good steward, my child, right, would stand to be a good steward as well because I set them in a good foundation.
Right.
Right. So this is interesting because we're talking about millennials and versus Gen Xers and baby boomers and things like that. So I'd like to talk a little bit about yourself, Dr. Wong. Would you say that if you were to look back at how you are a good steward of God's money, right? Can you tell us a little bit about your experience, your personal experience of being a good steward?
I'm still learning, okay? I'm not a good steward yet.
So a good example of what you think would be a good steward in today's new world.
And to add to Ray's question, if you were to dial back to when you're 20, when you're in your 20s, how will you actually, is there anything that you would do or change on your financial management?
Well, I've learned it the hard way as well. Okay, there was a time when I was indebted to bank loans for properties that I've invested in, and as I try and work out my stewardship life, I managed to get out of those situations. Okay, and for the last maybe about 25 years, I have not borrowed money. I'm debt free.
Wow.
But that also means that because of my abhorrence towards borrowing money, I miss opportunities. That when opportunities for investment comes around, and if I cannot afford to buy with cash, I don't. And if I don't, I miss the opportunity.
Right.
Okay.
So what is your thoughts about that? Should we borrow money?
Because I am working through my life, trying to work as a steward.
Right.
Even if I make extra money, it is not my money. It is his money.
That's true.
Okay. So I don't feel sad. There are two types of people in the world.
Okay.
One type of people, when they lose money, they feel very hurt, they feel very sad, they feel very depressed. Another type of people, if they miss an opportunity to make money, they feel very sad, they feel very depressed. Okay. So which type of person are you?
Right.
I am the kind of person who rather not make the money. I would rather not lose the money, because if I lose the money unwisely,
Right.
I am not being a good steward. You see? So yes, try hard not to get into debt. And I have taught my children that. Okay? And in order to help them to understand this, I have to live out the life. And they know that I do not borrow money. They do not borrow money. When my children were studying in England, I gave them each a gold card.
A gold card.
Yeah.
Like
Credit card.
Credit card, right.
Yeah. That was for emergency, just in case they need to buy a plane ticket and all that. Both of them never used it.
Oh, wow.
although they had it with them. They were in England for quite a few years, They went there for their Form 6 as well as university, but they never used it.
So it's like how Ray said that good stewards produce good stewards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is actually quite interesting because one of the ills that we have, and as Christians, millennials and young adults, we are not protected from temptation.
Right.
You know what I mean? We face the same temptations that non-Christians face as well. And of course, when Adeline asked that question earlier, she asked from the challenges of, going into debt because we need to get houses, we need to have our own house, our own car and things like that. But there's a flip side of that coin as well. There are millennials or young adults that are actually quite well-to-do.
Right.
Right? Because their parents are actually well-to-do. And to that context, it creates what I call a sense of false confidence.
And entitlement.
And entitlement, right?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with confidence
Right.
of being able to stand up there and be a good testimonial for God, being the fact that God has blessed you with skills and talents and things like that.
Right.
But, you see where I'm getting at? There is a challenge.
Right.
The challenge is that it becomes overboard because confidence can very quickly become arrogance as well.
Yeah. And it will destroy their lives, because they have a wrong sense of value. And obviously, they wouldn't understand that they are God's stewards.
Yeah.
Because money is flowing from their parents to them, and they are spending it, the way they like.
Yeah.
Maybe I can give you an example of one father who actually practiced of providing houses for their children. Okay, and this father told the son after he has bought him the house, he said, "I'm following biblical principle to provide you with a house. If I do not provide you with a house, you would have to borrow money from the bank to buy your own house." Okay, what I want you to do now is that the money that you would have to pay to the bank for your installment, you save up now, so that you can provide a house for each of your children in the future. Now, this is how we can turn back the clock to the biblical norms that houses and inheritance comes from fathers. But someone has to start it.
Right.
And this father did.
And be a good steward.
And be a good steward.
My name is Abel Chia, and I'd love to pray for young single mothers who are listening. Father, I thank you for the people that you have made to be mothers who have just seen their family grow and seen their lives expand. And Lord, I ask that you'd give them a special grace, that you would fill them with your love and your encouragement and your incredible strength. Lord, I thank you for the ministry of motherhood, and I pray that you would encourage them even now as they listen to this, that you have a special plan for them, that you hold their future in their hands, and that you have great plans for their child or for their children. I pray that you'd fill them with faith now and fill them with hope that you will take care of them. In your name we pray. Amen.
So as a young person, right?
Right.
If talking to people who are young, right? Not just young Christians, but really young adults, right? Young working adults. What are some good values that they should embrace to be good stewards?
Right.
I think they are facing big challenges. One is that we are now living in a world where if you are a Christian in the workplace, you are in the minority. Most of your colleagues in the business, in your industry, are not Christians. They do not have the values that you want to profess, and they are going to influence you. And it is hard not to be influenced by them. If you are influenced by them, then you will follow their lifestyle, and you will invariably get into a situation where you cannot be a good steward. Okay, the pressure of modern day life, your handphone, your Starbucks, your cars, your clubbing and all that, is drawing a lot of resources from you.
Right.
So the ability just to save and learn to invest is not easy. My suggestion for young people is that no matter how much you earn, be it 2,000, 3,000, do not spend beyond that. Always remember to honor God with your tithe, and then start to learn to save.
What is the percentage?
As much as you can, but minimum 10%.
Minimum, okay.
Because if you have to learn to make mistakes, you see. You save and then you invest. And in investment, you are not right every time.
I like that when you talk about investment, because that's the next question that I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, let's go back to investment in stocks, for example.
Yeah.
What are your views on it? Do you see that as a form of gambling? If it's not a form of gambling, then what is considered as wise investment?
Okay, investing is actually plowing back, like Ray, the previous episode mentioned. It is actually plowing back into generating more income.
Right.
Okay, and we have to learn that. Because by the time you reach your retirement age, you need to have what we call passive income. You need to have passive. And passive income comes from your accumulated assets that you manage for God to generate an income for yourself. Now, the investing in the stock market, some people consider it gambling. To me, it is not a sort of a... Well, let me put it this way. Some people say that if you invest for the long term, then you are investing.
Right.
But if you go in and out of the market, you are speculating.
Right.
I don't think that principle can provide a dividing line between investing and speculating. Because if you buy a share and then suddenly it goes up, you are not going to wait another 10 years to cash it in. You will cash it in. So you cannot use that. Some people say that if you buy blue chips, big counters, then you are investing. If you buy second liner, you are again, it doesn't work.
So speculating is another word for gambling.
Yes, well, speculating, actually, you don't equate. You see, gambling is chance.
Right.
You understand? Gambling is a chance game. You go to a casino, you are playing on chance. Well, speculating can be a skill, You speculate on the market, you know how market works, and you, based on your knowledge and your analysis of trends and how things are going, you speculate.
Okay.
So, yes, there is an element of chance because things can go wrong.
Right.
But it is not real gambling.
Right.
Now, I would like to look at it this way. The stock market is a very important economic instrument, institution for the economic development of any nation. You can judge the welfare of the nation by the strength and vibrancy of the market. The market is there not to provide you with an opportunity to gamble. It is an opportunity to marshal resources whereby economic development can progress. It is you and I, in our action in the market, that change it into a gambling den, if we want to. If we want to. So it is not so much the institution, it's our participation and how we participate in it that makes it gambling. So, yes, if your heart is right and you are operating as a steward, then when you invest in the market, you are not gambling.
Right, you're stewarding.
You're stewarding. There was once a lady who was at my seminar. She was asking me, Brother Hong Meng, what is wrong with investing in one of these casino shares? One famous Malaysian company, casino shares. They are paying good dividends. They got tremendous growth prospect. What is wrong? I asked her, I said, sister, at the beginning of the session, we all agreed that nothing belongs to us, everything belongs to God. He said, yes. So I said, one day when you see the Lord face to face, the Lord will ask you, why have you made me a shareholder of this casino? And how are you going to answer him? That is the kind of thing. You see, if we are steward, we know that, look, this is God's money.
Right.
Should I make him a owner or shareholder of a casino?
Right. Wow.
You know, then our perspective change.
Yeah. So truly, it's been an insightful session with you, Dr. Wong. And really, the whole idea about young people, in the workforce, is to really consider the fact that it's not our money, it's God's money. Right. God's money. We have to be responsible and good stewards of that money. And at the end of the day, it's about where our heart is. Yeah, that's where your treasures will be, is where your heart is. Yeah. So we have been speaking to Dr. Wong, management consultant, as well as 30 years of being in the organization of Full Gospel Businessman. The seminars on financial management and good stewardship. So thank you very much for sharing with us this session. It has been such a wonderful session, just listening from your insights and your experience. Thank you, Dr. Wong.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed this.
This is Ray.
This is Adeline.
And we're speaking to you from Rhema Radio.
Redemption's here, it's calling out today. This freedom's come, there is no other way. Jesus the way. Turn my darkness into light, and now I see Jesus the way. No matter what they say, I'm gonna lift you higher, gonna lift you higher. Since the day you came, I've never been the same. I'm gonna lift you higher, gonna lift you higher. Ooh. Yeah. Redemption's here, it's calling out today. This freedom's come, there is no other way. Jesus the way. Turn my darkness into light. Yeah. Turn my darkness into light, and now I see Jesus the way. No matter what they say, I'm gonna lift you higher, gonna lift you higher. Since the day you came, I've never been the same. I'm gonna lift you higher, gonna lift you higher. For all you've done, Jesus, I will praise your name. For what's to come, Jesus, I will praise your name. For all you've done, Jesus, I will praise your name. Oh yeah. For what's to come, Jesus, I will praise your name. Jesus away, no matter what they say, I'm gonna lift you higher, gonna lift you higher. Since the day you came, I've never been the same. I'm gonna lift you higher, gonna lift you higher. Jesus away, no matter what they say, I'm gonna lift you higher, gonna lift you higher. Since the day you came, I've never been the same. I'm gonna lift you higher, gonna lift you higher.
This segment features music from Experiment. This episode was edited, mixed by Jonathan Yeo and recorded by Moses Chan at Prodeo Studio. Do connect with us at facebook.com/rhemared.10. Comment, like, and share our weekly show so we can do more. Tune in next week for the next midweek service and interview. Have an overcoming week ahead.
Rhema Radio is a non-profit initiative by the Love Malaysia Media Project. Time, talent, and treasure is put into creating the content you listen to. Your support enables us to keep this going and expand further. Log on to www.rhemarad.io/support to find out how you can partner with us in creating value-adding content that ministers to the masses. Once again, that's www.rhemarad.io/support. Let's get the word out there.
I found it on Rhema Radio.